Hey, and welcome to Matt and Jess TV. I am Matt Rose.
And I'm Jessica Bun Bun.
Welcome to our review of the Paradise Season 1 finale. This is episode 8. Good news, there's a Paradise Season 2 coming.
Yes.
You do not have to worry about that.
Yep, and they have set up this big cliffhanger that we are going to see Xavier out in the world seemingly. Unless somebody comes and stops him. We saw the doors opening, he's in the plane, he's going to be out there looking for Terry. And how are we all feeling about this? Because this reminds me very much of, spoilers ahead, for Silo, end of season 1. We're all good? Okay. It reminds me of that, where we all were in this world that was created that was just like rich and layered and crazy. And then she went outside. And then season 2 was okay. It was still good, but there was still something that just felt a little bit off about it for me. And going into season 2 here, where it's like, oh, we had this paradise and this mystery and everybody's trapped in this place. Oh no, how's it all going to work out? The idea of Xavier now going out into this wasteland, it's not exactly what I was hoping for when it comes to what's going to be coming up next season. I'm not as interested in watching him run around the wasteland looking for his wife.
Oh, I'm being told in my ear there's some new casting news that's been announced for season 2. Steve Zahn is going to be playing an air traffic controller. Okay, Silo humor. But no, I think one of the things I'm kind of struggling with a little bit is that I did very much enjoy this finale, but at the same time, I do wonder, am I too plugged in on things? Because the Silo comparison here is pretty inevitable with how both of these seasons ended their first season.
Right.
But it was also that I kept seeing all these interviews over the past week where they're hyping up this big dramatic cliffhanger. And I'm sitting here now seeing the cliffhanger and I'm like, okay, this is exciting. This is interesting to me. I'm curious to see what their interpretation of outside is going to be. But this is also kind of exactly what I thought was going to happen. And I'm not trying to be like, oh, look at you, Mr. Smarty Pants. It's more that it's just that it felt like emotionally this was the thing that made the most sense for Xavier to do.
Absolutely. We kind of have spoken about this in the past couple of episodes, that we felt like now that he knows that she's out there, he's going to be out there next season looking for her, unless she has somehow found them. That this felt like the inevitable end to the season. He's going to be on this new journey out there looking for his wife.
Well, we'll get more into that cliffhanger, what it could mean moving forward. Also, the big resolution to the cow mystery. But before we do, be sure to hit that subscribe button because, yes, I know Paradise is over for the season, but we still have so much coverage happening here at the channel as we work to get the 70,000 subscribers. We are in the midst of The White Lotus. We are diving headfirst into Severance. There is this great new MGM Plus show, 9 Bodies in a Mexican Morgue. If you want another murder mystery, that is your bag. And also for all of you Hulu subscribers, The Handmaid's Tale is coming back soon, and we are looking forward to get into that once more.
Absolutely. So hit that subscribe button, stick with us. And also we have a link for you below for our Patreon. If you want to join our Patreon, you can get exclusive videos, weekly reviews on The Pit, which is airing on Max, and Prime Target, which is airing on Apple TV Plus. And it's also a really great way to help support Matt and I here so that we can continue to bring you all of these videos that we do here on YouTube. So thank you so much.
Thank you. We really, really appreciate that. All right, let's get to the Cal situation here because I have a question for all of you because I'm still kind of trying to wrap my head around this and for you as well. Is it okay if we have a murder mystery that is impossible for us to solve throughout the season? And I'm not sitting here being like, oh, I'm disappointed that it's not Carl or it's not Gabriella or, I know you said somebody at the White House on this past episode. Like, I'm not disappointed that like, oh, these theories didn't come out being correct. It's just like, I don't care about that. It's more just that I want to be able for all of us for a murder mystery to be able to have theories, to be able to piece it together, to go back and look at the season again and see these clues that we may have missed. Was this ever possible to figure out that it was the quote-unquote librarian who did it the whole time?
Yeah, we cover a lot of murder mystery content here at the channel. It is our favorite genre to be able
Yes.
to cover. We love really good murder mysteries that leave just enough breadcrumbs that we might be able to figure it out, but
Yeah.
we might take an L, and that's fine too. That's all about the journey and
Yeah.
the theories and getting to see if we could figure it out, or oh man, we missed that.
Yeah.
Oh, that was such a great reveal, sort of thing. And here I am left kind of feeling like there was no way to figure this out. This felt a lot like watching an episode of NCIS, which is a show that we both enjoy as well. But where when you're watching NCIS, there's a formula to it. It's whoever you've met at the beginning of the episode who seems like they're just a librarian. And at the end of the episode, you're like, oh, they're a librarian and they killed everybody. And that's sort of how it felt here. Yes, we have met this librarian before, but was there enough evidence or smoke or anything on this person besides the fact that we met them that they actually did all of this? No, there was no way to know this story. There was no way to know that he was this project manager, that he had this relationship with the other workers that were helping to build Paradise, that they came across this toxin that was going to hurt his workers, that he was trying to find a way to warn them, that he had made really great friendships with them and working relationships with them, and everything that he went through to be able to get into
Yeah.
Paradise, to get revenge. I'm like, there was no way to know this.
It was impossible. And I'm sitting back and being like, okay, from a surprise point of view, great. You guys legitimately did surprise me. I tip my hat to you.
And from a story standpoint, this story was very rich, very
Yeah.
Dan Fogelman. You've got us with the This Is Us, the emotional stories, the oh man, you're
Yeah.
breaking my heart kind of stories. But was there a way to figure this out? I think the answer is no.
Yeah, I think this all just comes down to what were you hoping to get out of this season? Were you hoping to feel like it was a satisfying and complete murder mystery from top to bottom? And I don't know if you can say that if you were looking for just something that was emotionally satisfying.
Mhm.
I think this probably did deliver
It did.
when it comes to delivering those aspects of it. It's just that
Mhm.
I like to think we're very tapped into the comments. And I don't think I've seen
Yeah.
a single comment all season of, oh, the librarian did it. And if
No.
I'm wrong, you guys can tell us in the comments. But it's just, it was almost too out of left field, especially because, we've talked a lot about Gabriella all season and some of her motives for it. And even with, my crazy Carl theory, I still had like, okay, he is in charge of all this technology. He
Yes.
seemingly has the means to pull something like
Yes.
this off. So we at least went into the finale with characters in mind who either had a motive,
Mhm.
had a means, had an
Yeah.
opportunity. With the librarian, we really did not have any of that. So instead, we went on this other journey. But I do want to pose one question here, and I'm curious to see what everybody thinks, you included. Do you think that this show could have told that story about him as a project manager and what he discovered and everything that went sideways and just left off with him trying to take out Cal in the real world, not showing his transformation into a librarian or anything else? Could they have shown that earlier in the season and we be thinking about it and then just still not knowing that it was him who was behind it?
I feel like it would have been too obvious. Like, I
Okay.
know that they tried to show, he was the reporter, he had, the gun inside the microphone, and that he was doing something. Like, it was teeny tiny, but that moment was there. But
Mhm.
is that enough for us to think that it's the same person? I mean, I feel like unless you're really familiar with that actor, it's going
Yeah.
to be really difficult to connect that 1 second we saw him
Yeah.
on the lawn to him being the same guy who's the librarian. If there's anybody out there that figured this out, you deserve the biggest pat on the back. Honestly, it's so difficult to
Yeah.
connect that I feel like unless you're tapped into that actor, it was going to be pretty much impossible. I mean, there was a lot of other people that were thrown out there
Yeah.
that we all thought it was. Like you said, Gabrielle, could have been Carl. Like, there's motives, there's means,
Yeah.
there's all kinds of stuff going on. For me, as a murder mystery fan, I was disappointed that there wasn't enough there to thread it together. It was so teeny
Yeah.
tiny that I just feel like this was going to be impossible unless you knew and you worked on the show who it was.
I will say this as a bald man, I am
Mhm.
proud to say that I have now learned that I can get a completely different head of hair and everyone will think I'm a completely different person and never piece the two together
Just
at
like
all.
Clark Kent, you put on some glasses, you look completely different.
No, I really do think from an emotional standpoint what worked here, and this is kind of like you've alluded to, vintage Dan Fogelman, that all of this happened because he cared about these people
Yes.
and he was devastated about what happened to them and that nobody seemed to really care. And so he felt like he had to take action into his own hands. This wasn't about, oh, what went down with the quote unquote end of the world. It was not about any sort of like jostling for power in paradise. It seems like it was really just about how hurt he was. And he even tried to get past it in paradise because, he obviously thought at one point, I do have to move forward. I have to try to live some sort of life. But at the end of the day, he was just not able to.
No, he wasn't. That, he saw Cal come down to the library and that just brought it all back. And he was like, right, I'm here for a mission for revenge, even though, the guys had kind of been like, let it go, like stop calling me,
Yeah.
it's fine, like we made our choices and we're here now and this is the way that it is. He's like, no, it's not okay. And
Yeah.
he ends up just being so hyper focused on this. And then there's the whole Maggie of it all,
Yeah.
where he ends up meeting this woman who's sitting in her car. Is like, yeah, it's the end of the world, I'm having a smoking some Cheetos and I'm just gonna let it all go. And he's like, nah, you're at the right place at the right time, you're gonna come with me. When she was like, he made me do it, I'm just like, what? Like, what? It feels like there needed to be more there with this Maggie character. There needed to be more here with this librarian, where when it all came together, we were like, oh my goodness, I didn't see this or that or whatever. Kind of like an Only Murders in the Building. When you look back and you're like, oh man, the signs were there, the pieces were there. I just missed it.
By the way, Only Murders fans, season 5 had just started filming. So we have that to look forward
Yeah.
to. But yeah, the Maggie part of this frustrates me because I am sort of sitting back and being like, okay, what were they trying to do with that character? Because I mean, you could argue, okay, she was there because he had this other identity that he was trying to take over and he needed her to be there as well so that it would make sense. But it's like, okay, if you're the writer of the show, then you could have just written that other character out and then he could have just been going in by himself. That would have worked. But it really felt like there's a couple of different things that are going on here. Either there was more of Maggie, I don't know, spying on people, getting information at the diner that just got cut or we didn't see for whatever reason. Or two, they just wanted to have Chekhov's cheese fries. I was sitting back thinking that it was Carl because of Chekhov's dog. Oh, he got the dog in. He must be capable of bringing somebody else in. And
Right.
it was just like, okay, it really just felt like they wanted to loop back to something that we all thought was just warm and innocent and how good those cheese fries were. And that way it feels more grounded into the world that we've seen.
Okay, let's talk about Jane for a second
Yeah.
here. I mean, they have set her up that she's, cold blooded.
Yeah.
She's willing to do whatever she has to do to get what she wants. And it seems like all she wanted was a Wii. I'm starting to feel like, with how much they focused on this Wii, that there was actually something inside the gaming console that she was
Yeah.
actually trying to get to, and not that she just wanted to play some tennis. It was. I don't know. It was kind of out there. Like, they had already established
Yeah.
that she's a little bit wild. She's a little bit off. Obviously,
Yeah.
she's a killer. She's been brought in to kill people. And I was just kind of like, you're gonna shoot Sinatra over a Wii? It's very odd. I know that at the end she was kind of like, oh, I didn't kill you because, without you, I don't have whatever it is that I want besides a Wii.
Yeah.
But at this point, it's about the Wii.
It's odd, and that's why, once again, speaking of things that may have been left on the cutting room floor, and really what we're getting at here is Paradise should have been more than 8 episodes.
Yes, it needed more. There needed to be more explanation on what was happening here. Maggie needed more explanation.
Yeah.
Librarian needed more explanation. Why Jane decided not to kill Presley and decided to shoot Sinatra, and what her bigger motivation is outside of this Wii. A little bit of that needed to be fed to us.
Yeah, because I'm just sort of sitting back here and being like, okay, you were willing to take out Billy, somebody who you seemingly loved and cared about, and you did this for Sinatra, and yet You don't take out Xavier when he is threatening Sinatra's life. You make sure that Presley is okay. And I mean, sure, you have a certain amount of affection towards these people, but that didn't stop you when you had affection for somebody else before. So,
Right.
what changed? Was it that you felt really guilty about what happened to Billy and you kind of went on this journey that we didn't see for whatever reason? Like, the we thing is maybe a part of it, but it just felt like
Yeah.
the we thing should be a comedic runner in this finale and not a primary motive. Because don't get me wrong, I loved Nintendo Wii when it came out. Like, I was up till 4 a.m. that night playing Wii bowling and all that. I would not go anywhere near as far as Jane did for the sake of being able to play Nintendo Wii.
Yeah, it just felt like if Sinatra had given her the Wii,
Yeah,
then what? What was going to happen? She was going to be
yeah,
like, "Oh, okay, payment for to kill Presley." Like I just didn't feel that there was enough there, and I don't know if it's because we haven't spent enough time with Jane now that we know that she's off,
yeah,
and that's why, or there wasn't enough.
yeah,
This finale felt like it should have been just episode 8, and that there
yeah.
are 2 more episodes coming, or at least one more that gives us a bit of a deeper dive into Jane and why she's doing kind of what she's doing. I think that would have helped a lot.
Yeah, it felt rushed. It felt like either the show ran out of money for the budget, or maybe they only had actors available for so much time, or maybe Dan Fogelman from the start, because he's talked about this in interviews. It's like, oh, I want Paradise to be this 3-season thing. I already kind of have a plan for all of it.
Mhm.
And, that's great. It's great to have a plan, a beginning, middle, and end. But, This Is Us ran for 6 seasons. And
Mhm.
yes, I think we can all look back at This Is Us and be like, okay, there's a couple of episodes here that are filler, but there was still a lot of time to get to know everybody. And I don't think he gave himself enough time because there are really good characters and there's really good moments in this finale as well. Like Sterling is phenomenal in his scenes with Sinatra. Not that this really surprises anybody, but I think if we had just gotten more time to get to know the other people in his world, it would have fleshed out and added to everything that we saw at the end like that much more.
Yeah, I just think even with Xavier and the librarian, when they're kind of like talking it out and, oh, thanks for the book,
Yeah,
he found out that the numbers were this library code where he was able to go get the book. And
yeah.
then the librarian's like, oh, yeah, thanks for showing me the book. See you later. It's like this all got wrapped up really fast.
Yeah, like really, really fast. A lot faster than it needed to, just because this world that has been established is so immersive. Like there's so many interesting things about it that we really
Yes.
don't have a great sense of, including like, whether it's the education of the kids, whether it's all the activities they do,
Mhm.
even if it's just like all the other characters that are a part of it. Because there's even characters in the finale that don't really get a lot of service when you think about how much time we've spent with them, like Cal's father, who had this big emotional story kind of early on, and that's not really revisited that much at all. It just feels like, from a payoff perspective, that there could have been a lot more going on.
Yeah, even with Jeremy, like we know that he's going to sort of go on and
Yeah,
try to do better than Cal and let
yeah,
people know what's going on. But I mean, we just saw him so kind of briefly, like trying to talk to
yeah,
people or whatever. Like, there are characters we spent a lot more time with that didn't have enough payoff
yeah,
now. And hopefully they'll have more payoff next season
yeah,
because. As sort of like there was good stuff and stuff we didn't like as much with this finale,
yeah.
I'm still incredibly excited about season 2. I
Yes.
think that even with the idea of him out in the wasteland, I'm very curious to see what, like you said, this show's version of the wasteland is going to look like. Like, what is going on out there in sort of we'll call it the outside
Yeah.
world, and is Xavier really going to be able to navigate that outside world? Things are very different now.
How I'm going to crudely compare this finale is we went to, ironically, a diner and we got this burger in season 1, and it's really, really good,
Yes.
but there's no fries. And we want the fries to go with the burger. And so it just feels like we're missing that depth of the meal. And maybe season 2 will be able to provide that a little bit more because they have the confidence of, okay, people really do like this show. And it
Yeah.
is really good. It's like,
Yes.
it's not a bad thing to have us sitting here and wanting more than what you ended up giving us, because that
Agreed.
shows, we're confident in what it is you do.
Mhm.
Now, the big question moving into it, obviously, is can Xavier find Terry? Where is she? What has she been up to? I think we all kind of want to believe that she's alive, she's out there. But this is something I was even talked about in the comments, is this idea, okay, we heard this recording, but was that even real? Like, what does Sinatra actually really know about her?
Yeah, that's kind of the problem, right? Like, Gabrielle knows so much about everyone that's there. I still think that she has a hand in behind the scenes. There's a reason why she was basically right there with Sinatra through a lot of this. And even though Sinatra was like, oh, yeah, I'm actually a monster,
Yeah.
you can leave or whatever, it still feels like it's Gabrielle that decides, yeah, okay, I will leave. I think if she
Hmm.
wanted to stay, she could have just stayed. She's so integrated into this world and cares about this world so much
Yeah.
that it's like, now that Sinatra is bedridden and she's going through a recovery, are we going to have some big time jump going into next season so she's back on her feet? Or is somebody else moving into that place? We saw the new president
Yeah.
try to take control, but he doesn't seem like he's a bad guy. He just seems like he's trying to help things out.
Yeah.
So who's going to be the foil then? It's Jane and her we, like, there has to be something else that's still going on in paradise, so that, let's say Xavier does find his wife and tries to bring her back, what's going on by the time he gets back there?
I think that's touching on something that was kind of hinted at season one, but never really explored fully, which is this idea of, okay, you're not wanting to bring people in later from the outside world. It's a
Right.
part of what was motivated everything that happened with Billy early on this season. So it's okay, let's say Xavier goes and finds her and then tries to bring her back. Like, what does that look like? Who tries to come in and stop him? Because I don't, we've made a lot of silo comparisons here, but I don't want season 2 of Paradise to be where Xavier's gone from the community for most of the season. And I don't necessarily think that that's going to be the case. I think you can spend an episode or 2 or 3 of him doing this stuff and then find a way to have him come back at some point after that, perhaps with Terry, or even if you don't have Terry, more information that could actually sort of give people confidence that they could go on the outside again.
That's the thing that I am worried about going into next season. That's just because, as much as I did enjoy
Mhm.
parts of Silo season 2, there was a lot that I didn't enjoy, and that was what I didn't enjoy, was having this the main person from the silo somewhere else, where then we have everything that's going on in the silo, which I'm the most interested in,
Yeah.
but then our main character is not with the group anymore. So I'm worried going into this next season.
Yeah.
We have Xavier out in the wastelands by himself, but he's not connected to what's going on in Paradise anymore, which is
Yeah.
where I'm invested. I'm invested in everyone that's there and what is going on and how things are going to change.
Yeah. I still want a lot of time with those characters because I like those characters and
Yeah.
they're interesting. And a lot of them, I mean, especially the younger people, they're starting to forget what the life on the outside really even looks like.
Right.
I am really grateful overall that this show has come out. It's given us more Dan Fogelman in our lives, which we appreciate. Of course,
Yeah.
more Sterling K. Brown, which we really, really appreciate.
Absolutely.
Well, hopefully we'll have more on Paradise Season 2 in the near future. But for
Mhm.
now, let us know. What did you guys think about the Season 1 finale? Are you okay with the fact that you couldn't see this killer coming, or that the cliffhanger is a little bit predictable? Let us know. Hit that subscribe button. Help us get to 70,000. And you can support us further by joining our Patreon. That link is in the description
Mhm.
below. We're covering The Pit on Max, Prime Target on Apple TV Plus.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much. We'll see you here next time.